NBC. 2020 continues with Elizabeth Vargas.
We've done so many stories about domestic abuse on this program, and tonight one more. But this one is in the glare of a very public spotlight. Rihanna breaking her silence for the first time. As baffling as it is why those in abusive marriages stay, it's even more confounding why you do it when you're dating, when you're young, and when you're free and can make your own choices. Tonight, all these things addressed by a woman who is a megastar. Diane Sawyer has her story.
1,000 miles away, the Caribbean island of Barbados, where a little girl named Robin Brianna Fenty grew up. Here she is in high school, singing in the auditorium for her friends.
And then a hero comes along with the strength to carry on.
Then one day she sang for a tourist, an American music producer, who flew her to New York, and at the age of 16 years old, as fast as you can say umbrella, she became the force that is Rihanna.
I just had a dream. I had an idea. I knew what I wanted to do, and this is what I was going to do. All I wanted to do was make music internationally. You know, in Barbados, it's an unrealistic goal. You know, we're a small little island away from the United States.
And is it a true story that you had the hairbrush and you used to sing A Whole New World from Aladdin? Big number with the hairbrush in front of the mirror?
I think every little girl had that moment. That and the Little Mermaid song.
But not your mother's mermaid. Her trademark is glamour, daring, strength, and steel. 15 million albums later, she has more #1 hit songs than anyone in this decade, and controls an empire of corporate endorsements, fashion spreads, and a bank account in the multi-millions. And by her side, a boyfriend who was her match for fame and money, Chris Brown, who outsang and outdanced everyone at the Video Music Awards in 2007. Was the nice kid in the bow tie who didn't drink or do drugs. They had met when he was 15, she's 16. Two very rich, very young supernovas rocketing toward the top.
Had you been in love before? Was he your first big love?
He was definitely my first big love. He always played. He played a lot, so it was a good feeling to come out of the adult lifestyle and just, when you're in your room, just be yourself. We were best friends, so we fell in love with each other. To fall in love with your best friend, it can be scary.
Scary.
We just fell really fast, and the more in love we became, the more dangerous we became for each other, equally as dangerous, because it was a bit of an obsession.
Flash forward February 7th, 2009. Two very different sets of photographs tell a dramatic story. Here, in the evening, the couple attending a party for the Grammys. He was 19, she just 20.
I was very happy. We had a blast that night.
Several hours after that, something happened. Another photo, broadcast by TMZ. Rihanna, swollen, bruised, battered.
The picture taken that night, have you looked at it?
I get very embarrassed. I feel humiliated. I get angry all over again. Every time I see it, the whole thing plays back in my head. So I don't like to see it.
Why be ashamed? Why would you be ashamed?
I fell in love with that person. That's embarrassing. That's embarrassing that that's the type of person that I fell in love with. So far in love. So unconditional that I went back. It's humiliating to see your face like that. It's humiliating to say that this happened, to accept that.
She says she and Brown were in the car on the way home from that Grammy party. He was driving, and over the next 30 minutes, here's what happened. She saw a text message on his cell phone from an old girlfriend. She got angry.
I caught him in a lie, and he wouldn't tell the truth, so I wouldn't drop it. I wouldn't drop it. I kept saying I couldn't take that he kept lying to me, and he couldn't take that I wouldn't drop it, because obviously his back was up against the wall. The truth is right here in the text message. So it escalated into him being violent towards me, and it was ugly.
We've read the police report.
It says he shoved her against her window, punched her in the left eye.
That at one point your mouth is filled with blood?
Yes.
They quote him as saying, "I'm going to beat the out of you when we get home." And at another point, "Now I'm really going to kill you."
I know he was saying it to scare me, but he had no soul in his eyes, just blank. So at that point, I just didn't know what could happen. He was clearly blacked out. There was no person when I looked at him. It's almost as though he had nothing to lose. He has so much to lose. And it was almost like he had nothing to lose. It wasn't the same person that says, "I love you." It was not those, it definitely weren't those eyes.
She says in his rage, he kept driving into an LA residential section. As she desperately tried to phone her assistant, he threw the phone out the window.
Police report also says he had you in a headlock not once but twice, and actually bit you a couple of times, once on the left side of your ear and also then bit your fingers. He bit you?
Yep.
They say the headlock was once so severe that you were unable to breathe and began to lose consciousness.
I didn't lose consciousness, but I definitely had difficulty breathing.
What were you doing to fight back?
Really, I was really just trying to, I just wanted it to stop. I just wanted it to stop. I was not interested in hurting him back.
When you hear some of his fans saying, "She must have done something to make him do this. He hadn't done this before."
I'm just saying, like, okay, yeah, she didn't deserve to get beat up to the degree she got beat up.
I don't believe that Chris Brown just attacked Rihanna for nothing. I believe she provoked him, and that's what happened.
So she must have done something. Did she hit him? Did she bait him? Did she rile him? How do you react?
It's ignorance, I can say that. Because even if I hit him first, that makes it okay for him to do that to me. They kind of give an excuse for what he did.
Did you hit him? Did you ever say to yourself, "Well, that was my fault"?
No. Did not hit him. It was an argument.
A verbal argument.
Verbal.
Was there alcohol involved? Was he
No.
drunk? Were you drunk? Was
No.
it no.
We weren't drunk. Weren't even drunk.
How did you think it was going to end?
That's all I kept thinking the whole time. When is it going to stop? When is it going to stop? When people can hear me screaming, when he's parked in a neighborhood and we're right in front of somebody's house. He kept saying, "Stop screaming," of course, but I kept screaming, and eventually they didn't come out. They just called the cops from inside. I was battered. I was bleeding. I was swollen in my face. So there was no way of me getting home. except for my next option was to get out of the car and start walking in a gown and a bloody face. So I really don't know what was my plan. I didn't have a plan. That whole night was not part of my plan.
Had he done it before?
No.
But we told her we had read another police document which cites 2 earlier incidents. Once when he bashed in the windshield of her SUV, and another time when they argued and...
He repeatedly shoved you into a wall, another in December?
No, he didn't repeatedly shove me into a wall.
What happened?
He shoved me into the wall.
And that, isn't it happening? Is that a wake-up call?
When I say it didn't happen, I mean it's never been... I've never bled, swole up, black eye, bruise. It was not a fight.
Distinctions that might echo back to the ways you cope when you're a child in a troubled home. Something else she had never planned on letting the world know. What she says her father did to her mother.
Was it abusive?
Yes.
Physically?
Yes.
Severely?
Yes.
Did he hit her?
Yeah. On numerous accounts. It was like, I don't want to say normal, but it wasn't a surprise when it happened. Like, I just always anticipated it happening, and that's why at night I wouldn't want to sleep because I was too afraid that it would happen. I just would pull her away. I would be beating on my dad's leg the whole time, just trying to stand in the middle, breaking glass bottles so they could hear something else and snap out of it.
Was she taken to the hospital, to the doctors, that severe?
No, she never went to the hospital, but he broke her nose one time, but she would never go to the hospital. Domestic violence is not something that people want anybody to know, so she just would hide it in the house. I always said to myself, I'm never gonna date somebody like my dad. Never. I always said that.
Her fans were stunned by what Chris Brown had done to her, and even more shocked by what she did next. Right after Rihanna was beaten, it was a media sensation, everyone weighing in.
And if a man hits you once, he will hit you again.
That's right.
No man should ever put their hands on you.
Rihanna, if it happens again, you better run for the hills.
If it can happen to stars like her, I think, well, I hope it's showing people that it can happen to anyone.
If he really loved you, he wouldn't have put his hands on you like that.
Most of us imagined it had to be different for this formidable superstar who was surrounded by corporate sponsors. Millions of dollars, powerful friends. But we had it wrong. She says right after the incident, she was just like so many other abused women, filled with confused emotions and conflicted about where to go and who.
Point blank, denial is you start lying to yourself. The minute the physical wounds go away, you want this thing to go away. This is a memory you don't want to have ever again. So the minute the physical wounds go away, you put it in the back of your head and you start lying to yourself subconsciously.
Lying, saying it wasn't as bad as I thought it was. Lying, saying he's changed. What lies?
Initially, you start thinking, what could I possibly have said to make him hit me and do this? Like, you replay that in your head, and then, you know, eventually you're like, you know, stop. I didn't talk about it to anyone, to no one. Not my friends, not my family. I don't want people looking at me and feeling sorry for me, like there goes the victim. So I felt really lonely. There were times when I cried. There were times when I just sat there all day and watched TV. I couldn't even go back to my own house because there were 200 people outside with cameras, paparazzi, journalists, fans, neighbors. There were helicopters circling. So I feel like I went to sleep as Rihanna and woke up as Britney Spears or something, just to give you the level of chaos. And I'm like, if I feel this depressed, then what is he going through? Again, lying to yourself, I had to protect him. The whole world hates him now. His fans, his career. He lost me. I just need to let him know, don't do anything stupid.
You mean like hurt himself?
Yes.
You thought he might actually try to kill himself?
Everything was going through my head because I know he's never had to deal with something like this. I'm not saying that's an excuse for me to go back, but this is what I was thinking about.
But go back to him is exactly what she did. March 1st, just 3 weeks after the incident, she flew to be with Chris Brown in Miami. Her fans were thrown.
I think taking him back would be like saying it was okay to do that, and we all know that it's not okay.
I don't want you women out there to think that this is okay, because it is not. It is not okay. A man puts his hands on you, peace out, sucker.
They could try to make this relationship work if they chose to.
And there were also messages from some fans, some young girls, who said they were being hit and hurt too. Down in Miami, Chris Brown seemed to be so relieved she was back with him, even exuberant to have everything the way it was.
And did you think that was it? You were going to be back together again?
I actually didn't know. I actually did not know. I went through a host of emotions.
Did you tell him you forgave him?
No. It was confusing for me. I was still attached by love, but I wasn't thinking about the reality of the situation. I felt like I built this empire and the man that I love beat me, and because I'm going back, I'm going to lose it? No. And even then, you see, you start lying to yourself again, and I just felt, nah, that's selfish. I can't think like that. That's selfish. What if I am supposed to help him? But when I realized that my selfish decision for love could result into some young girl getting killed, I could not be easy with that part. I couldn't be held responsible for telling them, go back. Chris, even if Chris never hit me again, who's to say that their boyfriend won't? Who's to say that they won't kill these girls? And these are young girls, and I just didn't realize how much of an impact I had on these girls' lives until that happened. It was a wake-up call. It was a wake-up call for me, big time.
How did you end it? When did you end it?
Shortly after Miami. I went right back to LA. I just said to him, I can't do this. I resented him. I resented him so much. And I always put the tough face on and try to, I can do anything face and just try to play it off. But he knew. He knew it. He kept asking me, you hate me, don't you? You hate me. And I would lie and I would say, no. No. And I did. It annoyed, everything about him annoyed me. Him being around me, him talking to me, everything was annoying for me. So finally, I just said, we can't do this. I cannot continue to do this.
And that was the last time you've spoken to him?
I spoke to him after that, but we weren't in a relationship. You know, he didn't accept that very well. Obviously, he didn't want us to be apart. But I know how to make a decision for me.
He launched a series of public appeals saying he had written her a song, an apology called Changed Man. He launched a series of public appeals saying he had written her a song, an apology called Changed Man.
When you heard it, what did you think?
I didn't hear it.
Didn't want to hear it?
No.
I wish I could have changed that night.
He also went on Larry King with his mother and explained that as a little boy he had heard his stepfather hit his mom, though his stepfather denies it.
It used to be times I used to be scared to go to bed because I'd be like, well, I don't know.
He forgot the pain that he witnessed with his mom. Fame came to Chris very, very young, at a very young age. So with fame comes a lot of things, and the most dangerous thing is the freedom. No limits, no boundaries. You're a kid and the word no doesn't exist. You become invincible. And you don't think there's no right or wrong. You just do as you want to.
And from Chris Brown, one more apology, a video released online. She says this is the first time she's seen that video.
I have told Rihanna countless times, and I'm telling you today, that I'm truly, truly sorry, and that I wasn't able to handle the situation both differently and better.
I just wonder, when you see it, what you're hearing, what you're seeing.
Sounds like he might have been reading off of a teleprompter. Sounds like he's reading. I knew that he felt really bad about doing it. I just didn't know if he understood the extent of what he did. The thing that men don't realize when they hit a woman, it's the face, the broken arm, the black eye, it's gonna heal. That's not the problem. It's the scar inside. You flash back, you remember it all the time. It comes back to you whether you like it or not, and it's painful. So I don't think he understood that. They never do. They don't know that. They can't know that.
What do you want to hear from him?
Nothing. Nothing. I want, really, what I want is for him to accept this as a man would, and accept the responsibility and not find a way to feel sorry for himself.
When we come back, we ask, does she think he can ever change? And would she ever take him back?
Love doesn't go away right away, you know.
More when we return. August 2009. Chris Brown is sentenced to 6 months of community service, a year of counseling, probation. And over Rihanna's objection, a court order requires him for the next 5 years to stay 100 yards away from her, 10 yards at public events.
I didn't want that because it was unnecessary, really. And I didn't want it to be interrupting my work. Like, if I have to go to an event and I have to think, oh my gosh, I have to stay 10 yards away from Chris, it's a spectacle. Like, it's too much. It just didn't make sense to me.
You love her?
Definitely.
In love with her?
Definitely.
Would you spend a lifetime with her?
Would I spend a lifetime? Well, I'm young, I'm 20, so...
No, well, let's say, could you conceive of that? Down the road?
Yes.
Is it possible, ever?
I can't answer that question right now, because you never know what the future holds. He was my best friend. We were in love. We spent 2 years of our lives in a relationship, so that's exactly where it comes from. It just takes time. And love doesn't go away right away, you know.
I think there are people who think that if you seen that picture, and they would think that rules it out forever.
I don't have a desire at all to be with him. I can't see how we would get back together, but I'm also not God, and I can't predict the future. It's actually rather annoying that there's still some kind of emotion there.
Do you hate him?
No. I want him to do well, have a great career, have a great life, and grow up, and just take this as something that you had to go through to grow up and learn. I definitely think it's possible to change. It depends on if you want to.
And what's it like now when you meet somebody and are interested?
Well, I'm not dating right now. I don't want to date right now. It's too much right now.
Right now, she is standing at that crossroads where emotion meets reality, joining the gallery of 500,000 women in America every year who are abused. Some of them may be watching tonight. Some of them we don't know, and some have already told us how they found their way out. Ahead, Rihanna plans to return to the world where she carved out that empire. Her corporate sponsors have been loyal amid speculation that they put pressure on her not to go back with an abuser.
I don't know that for sure, but it's normal for a corporate company like that to be concerned about my decision. So after I start saying it's okay to get beat up and go back, and who cares if you die, if I was a corporate company, I wouldn't want that either.
On average, I think it takes a woman 7 times before she leaves.
8 or 9, actually.
But she insists that will never happen to this girl who dreamed her way off the little Caribbean island into the life of daring confidence that made Rihanna a star.
Well, that's it. So many people said she always seemed like the least likely person to be in a situation where that would happen, that she always seemed strong.
I am strong. This happened to me. I didn't cause this. I didn't do it. This happened to me, and it can happen to anybody. And I'm glad it happened to me, because now I can help young girls when they go through it. I'll say that to any young girl who's going through domestic violence. Don't react off of love. F love. To come out of the situation and look at it third person and for what it really is, and then make your decision, because love is so blind. It's so blind.